become part of Australian community in a meaningful way. That's not easy, but I think if you look at how Australia's managed it overall, I think we have to be actually proud of the success. It's not without its problems. It's not without these kind of debates. It's not, it's not a bed of roses all the time. But when I look at other countries who are trying to deal with these things, I'm very proud of the way Australia does it. I think it's not easy to be a refugee. It's not easy to be a newcomer to this country. But I think that overall, when I look around me, we celebrate most of the time the multicultural community that is Australia.
Let's hear from Ian Nelson on this. And just to reiterate the question, it essentially was, how do you expect Muslims to integrate and be proud of being Australians when you're essentially saying they shouldn't be here?
I don't think anybody's saying they shouldn't be here. What we are saying is that we would love them to assimilate. We seem to find through evidence that they don't. Muslims have their own religion and they have their own mosques, they have their own Sharia law, they have their own Bible, the Quran, which is really different than what we do. I don't know what's funny about that. I mean, it's a serious problem. They don't. It's not that we don't like their religion. They don't like our religion. Is it true? Is it not? No, wait a minute. Is it true that they're offended by the scene of naivety during Christmas time? I mean, is that true? Is that true? The Mayor of Sydney doesn't allow anybody to display it. That's our Christianity. Exactly. Well, I mean, you folks you just
don't understand Christianity.
Look,
you have a problem with
we'll get a microphone to you. Just hang on a sec.
I've lived and
just hang on for a second. We're just going to hear from our questioner.
We don't have a problem with Christianity. We don't have a problem with anyone in Australia. These people, I'll take a bullet for these people. But I do have a problem that it's always Islam, Muslim, Islam, Muslim. Do you think it's easy? My wife gets spat out in the streets. All these millions of things happens. If it wasn't for the people that I've known throughout my life, I would have told my wife these people are bad. But obviously they're not, because there's so much more people out here that respect my wife and respect me, but it really, you make life hard for all Muslims, the way you act and the way you just always Islam, Muslim. We don't hate your religion. We believe Jesus as our prophet. We love Jesus. We love, I don't know where you get all these ideologies from.
Well, a couple of years ago, the President and myself went and visited a mosque on the Gold Coast, and we found those imams to be absolutely charming. And the people there were also charming, very charming. These people, the Muslims there, they've seemed to have assimilated, and they're practising a diversified culture. They're not multicultural. They're practising a diversified culture, and they mix with other religions too. These folks are wonderful. We welcome them. It's the scary speeches your imams give in the Sydney mosque that scare the living daylights out of all of us. It's the burqa, which is an intimidating thing to see at the best of times. We understand it's your religion, but you've got to understand that we have a religion too, and we want to be free to practice that.
Can I go to Barnaby Joyce on this? Barnaby Joyce, are you and some of your colleagues playing with the fears of Muslims that exist in some parts of the community?
No, I'm not, Tony, but I get a sense that we're starting to do that here tonight,
yeah, we're doing
which I don't like at all. I believe that it's a ridiculous question, should we have more of one group, or because as soon as you say we're going to have more of one group, it means you must have less of another. I think it's the greatest gift you have is to come into this nation, and it should be given to those who want to participate in this nation in a way that shows some sort of unified purpose, whatever that is. I don't think it's determined by religion or creed or colour or anything else, but it's your desire when you turn up here to pick up the papers and not walk past them, be a member of the Defence Force, a member of the Police Force, to participate in a civic way. It's a very easy argument, Tony, to turn this into some sort of... This is dog whistle. I'm watching it. This is dog whistle stuff on two directions.
You would have seen the reports.
Well,
you would have seen the reports last week suggesting that Scott Morrison raised the potency of this issue in shadow cabinet.
Well, the first thing without disclosure, that's wrong. I mean, that was a report that was wrong. And so, let's start from chores. And once more, it incites on both directions. If you put out something that is false, it is just as insightful as putting out something that is correct that you shouldn't have said. So we have to be extremely careful of how we do this. We have a peaceful nation. We want to try and keep it that way, and we do it by not antagonising from either direction, Tony.
Can I just get Gina Castellone's view on this?
Well, I just want to say, when everybody cuts themselves, we all bleed red. We're all people. We should all respect one another. We should all respect each other's beliefs, each other's cultures, all be free to practice whatever rituals we want to practice. I think I'm proud to be an Australian, and I'm proud that we're a multicultural country. And that's just the way it should be.
Okay, we've got a few people with their hands up in the air. We'll try and get microphones over to you, over in the centre there. And in the meantime, we'll take a question from Andrea Nelligan.
Does the panel think that allowing people into Australia who came from misogynist and undemocratic cultures where church and the state are intermingled is a good idea for Australia's future?
Tim Flannery, do you want to pick up that point?
Sure. Look, I think we are all Australians equal under the law, and it is a disgrace, just to refer to that previous question, for politicians to discriminate among Australians. People who cross over and break the law, sure, wherever they come from, they should feel the full weight of the law. But we do have a multicultural society here. The Muslim religion and people who adhere to that religion have played a very, very proud part in the building of our nation from the Afghan camel years onwards. And I just don't think we can afford any discrimination. Sure, we may not all agree about social mores and so forth, but you know, I remember when I was a kid going to a Catholic church with the women had to wear something over their head. We took Lent equally as seriously as Muslims take Ramadan. People and cultures change over time, and I think that we will build a more common understanding as we go on.
Anna Bligh, the question was, does the panel think allowing people into Australia who come from misogynist and undemocratic cultures where church and state are intermingled is a good idea?
Well, I think many people who leave those countries leave them because they're looking for something different and something better, and that's what Australia offers them. And I don't think there's nothing, as Tim said, there's nothing new about that now. People have been seeking to come to democratic countries that provide opportunity, like Australia, like the United States, like the United Kingdom, for centuries. People, you know, if people are oppressed and kept down for long enough, they will seek something better for themselves and their families. So it's often the very things that you're talking about that drive people. I mean, I can't imagine going and becoming a citizen of another country. I think it must be very hard, and that people are often driven because they're looking for something different and better for themselves and their children. So I think we do need to understand that some of the people who come here and seek to become Australians are coming from countries that do not have the same system of government or the same culture. And that's actually one of the reasons why people want to come here, because they're looking for that. But it's equally true that culture, when we say multiculture, that culture is not just about eating different food and speaking a different language. It does come down to your faith, your religion, your social beliefs,